The doctors doesn't want me to read any more Edgar Allan Poe. They say it's not healthy for me. I told them that I like Edgar Allan Poe. I told them that I I might be Edgar Allan Poe. I know I'm not Edgar Allan Poe. I know that. But I figured that if anyone was gonna come back from the dead, it'll be him. And I think like Edgar Allan Poe. I had his thoughts. The funny thing is, I never really thought much about Edgar Allan Poe until I got here. Oakbrook. They might as well call it Tranquility Aquatics. This is sure it is. That's what it is. Oakbrook. And it's nice here though. I guess I like it here well enough. Excellent food. Everything's taken care of us for us. But then they tell us that we're not normal if we decide to stay. Mistakes. We all make mistakes. Like Edgar Allan Poe once said, that which you mistake for madness is but an over-accurateness of the sense. All it takes is a small mistake to make your help into a haunting of eternity. I Might Be Edgar Allan Poe by Dawson Nichols. A few weeks ago, I started sneaking into the library and reading this book by Edgar Allan Poe. One new story every night. The Fall of the House of the Husher, The Mask of the Red Dead, The Black Cat, The Premature Burial, The Pit, and The Pendulum. I was so familiar with each story, it was like reading my own diary. And I became more and more convinced that I was Edgar Allan Poe. The doctor said that I shouldn't be reading Edgar Allan Poe because it's not healthy for me. So I asked them, why you have it in the library then? They removed it. They lied to be in charge, and there's some things they want us to think and other things they don't. Like the fire. The doctors think that if I talk to them about the fire, they have some sort of breakthrough, but that's not true. I could talk about the fire. I just don't want to. Why should I? People don't like to do unpainful things. You live your life, you move on. Why isn't that normal? I don't want to talk about the fire with them. I want to examine it, dissect it, make it devoid of meaning. Why can't I just leave that behind me? Isn't that normal? That is normal, right? Right? I was living in this apartment building, and there was a loud explosion and fire. Then there was a fire alarm, and we all went outside instead of a strip of grass across the street. And it was actually quite pretty. The yellow and orange flames lighting up the sky. And you couldn't see the smoke very well because it was night. And then a woman came running outside, and she was screaming that her child was still in the fire. So she tried to run back in, but a man got on her way. And she ran across the street, and she started to scream that a real man would go in there and save her child. And then she looked at me and punched me in the face, and a peppermint poured off of me, but it was already too late. My lips were already bleeding. And I wonder what she meant by that. And why has she chosen me? So I went up the second floor, and I went shouting and running door to door if anyone was in there. As I got towards the end of the building, there was an open door, and there was smoke everywhere. But I heard something. And I got down into my hands and knees, and I found her, a wide-eyed little girl. She was in a bathtub clinging into her stuffed animal and curled up into a ball. So I carried her down the hall to the stairs, but I guess the fire was spreading down to the first floor. So I went up the second floor and past the third to the fourth and up into the roof. It was all very dark and I couldn't see very well, and there was smoke everywhere. And there was people below us shouting that we had to jump. But she wouldn't jump. She was too scared. And my heart chest inside out. And she was scratching me where I have been burned. But I wasn't angry at her. I wasn't angry. I was just scared. And they were screaming that we had to jump, but she wouldn't jump. So I had to pick her up and when I walked her down to the roof of the edge. And the building was making noises and the firemen were holding a circle for us to jump into. But she wouldn't jump. So I kissed her in the forehead. And I threw her. But she was screaming too much. And the fireman tried to move, but it was too late. Her little body flipped over the edge. And I could hear the noise that her little head made when it hit the pavement. Why can't I just leave that behind me? Isn't that normal to leave something like that behind you? Isn't it normal to just move on and leave something like that buried underneath all of this? I'm sorry. The drugs must be wearing off. Now, I hope you understand my sense of humor a little more. Oh, well, I mean, it doesn't matter. You're just the voices inside my head. Well, the told them I'd tell you so, but so are the doctors.